We've converged here in Pune to transform the future of mobility in this city and hopefully well beyond. We created the Urban Mobility Lab to support the development and implementation of pragmatic mobility solutions for India's cities. We hope to stimulate on-the-ground innovative pilots to adapt emerging solutions to the local needs and to ensure the integration of those solutions. The shift from just walking our own path to being aware of the millions of paths, travel routes and modes being used by Pune's citizens every day is an act of imagination. But that imagination is a cornerstone for the work that we do together in Urban Mobility Lab. That's the aspiration and the hope of this meeting, is that in addition to the ideas that are on the table, we find common ground in our purposes, and that common ground gives us the ability to cut through the obstacles to pioneer a new future for Pune, because that, at the end of the day, is the goal that we share.
India faces a very complex problem and an opportunity on urbanization. Going forward, by 2030, the number of people who live in cities in India would be almost 2 times the population of the United States of America. And therefore, we need solutions which are innovative.
At the policy level, there would be a number of things which we need to do. We also need to plan our cities and our villages in a way in which there is more of transit-oriented development, so that it will be easier for people to move.
So we're working with Pune as the first lighthouse city, and we're in particular offering the Urban Mobility Lab as a platform for them to identify, integrate, and implement different mobility solutions.
It's a very important scenario when you go to new mobility paradigm as a city. It's important that you bring all the stakeholders and understand what is the implication of it, because you are not going to solve a problem created in certain way by doing it the same way.
How do we execute, and what are the enablers to execution? And that's not only for the teams, it's for all the stakeholders, and how do we pin it down and say, okay, this is what I need. We cannot solve what we call the wicked problems which we are being faced with conventional solutions or conventional approaches. Somewhere each stakeholder has to take a radical position or a radical step forward to say, I need to change the way I think.
Transportation is only partly about technology, it's a lot about people. And going forward, how can public engagement and political engagement be a part of this transition in a creative, productive way where the public is constructively involved in creating the transition that should actually be desired by all of us.
Seeing actually the participation of the government agencies, of obviously experts from different fields, and the different teams that bring a very different light to what we are doing. That has been definitely one of the highlights of what we've been doing so far. And I think the collaborative nature of how we've been sort of forced to think of solutions, it's a different way of thinking than we are normally used to.
RMI has developed an expertise, a process of engaging stakeholders, taking forward discussions towards solutions with a clean intent, with a vision. We're trying to use that process for Indian cities to begin with mobility. I think we strongly believe that what RMI has learned elsewhere is something that can serve the needs of this country and its cities.
RMI has been doing a couple of things. One is essentially bringing their expertise. They're a global think tank. They know the problems and they sort of highlight issues from across the globe. The other bit is the facilitation. Generally, we're not used to working with a competitor and trying to come up with a solution. But I think their strength is in creating the frameworks for us to think through problems, address them, focus our questions and solutions. I think that's been the strength that RMI brings to this.
If we can do the Urban Mobility Lab in 3, 4, or 5 cities over the next few years, we can start to have a few different models for how the future of mobility will look in most types of Indian cities.
Governments, academics, industry and citizens and communities work together on problems. I think we'll need a lot of partnerships like the one we have with RMI now, and we will build on our strengths. We'll try to reduce our weaknesses. I think India will be set for a strong, positive urban effort from these cities going in the future.
This pilot is going to kind of set the ball rolling for the whole country in the times to come. What we discuss and decide here would impact not just some solutions but also policy and regulation.